Did you know that the first 30 minutes after waking up could be setting you up for severe depression without you even realizing it? The morning habits you followed for decades might actually be the hidden culprit behind those unexplained feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and lack of energy. What's most alarming is that one of these habits is so common that 99% of seniors do it every single day, completely unaware of the damage it's causing to their mental health. In this video, I'm going to reveal 4 morning habits that leading psychiatrists have directly linked to depression in adults over 60. And more importantly, the simple changes you can make starting tomorrow morning that could transform your emotional well-being almost immediately. Let me tell you about Eleanor, a 73-year-old retired school teacher from Ohio. On paper, Eleanor had everything to be happy about: a lovely home, supportive family, good health, and financial security. Yet every day, she found herself sinking deeper into an unexplained depression. She'd wake up feeling exhausted despite a full night's sleep. By mid-morning, a heavy sense of hopelessness would settle in. "I couldn't understand what was wrong with me," she later confessed. "I had a good life, yet I felt empty inside." Eleanor tried everything, from antidepressants to therapy, but nothing seemed to work. It wasn't until her doctor asked detailed questions about her morning routine that they discovered the surprising truth. 4 specific habits in her morning ritual were triggering a cascade of negative neurochemical reactions in her aging brain. When Eleanor changed just one of these habits, she noticed an improvement within days. After adjusting all 4, she was able to discontinue her depression medication entirely within weeks. Today, I'll share exactly what Eleanor learned so you can experience the same transformation. Let's dive into the 4 morning habits that could be secretly triggering your depression. Habit 1. Immediately checking news and social media. How do you start your day? Do you reach for your phone, tablet, or turn on the TV before you've even gotten out of bed? This seemingly innocent habit might be the very thing flooding your brain with depression-triggering stress hormones first thing in the morning. Neurologists at Stanford University have discovered that the aging brain is particularly vulnerable to stress during the first hour after waking. Dr. Andrew Michaels, a leading neuropsychiatrist, explains, "When seniors immediately expose themselves to the stressful content in news and social media upon waking, they're essentially hijacking their brain's morning neurochemistry. Cortisol levels, which are already naturally elevated in the morning, spike even higher and can remain elevated for hours, creating the perfect neurological environment for depression to take hold." What's particularly dangerous about this habit is how it affects the aging brain differently than younger adults. After 60, your brain loses some of its natural ability to regulate stress hormones, meaning that morning anxiety trigger can linger in your system much longer than it would have when you were younger. Consider what happened to Thomas, a 68-year-old retired accountant from Florida. For years, Thomas started his day by checking the news on his iPad while still in bed. "I thought I was just being informed," he explained, "but I noticed I'd feel increasingly anxious and down as the day went on." What Thomas didn't realize was that this morning digital immersion was triggering a stress response that his aging brain couldn't effectively shut down. When his doctor suggested a 30-day experiment of avoiding all digital media for the first hour after waking, Thomas was skeptical but willing to try. "The difference was almost immediate," he reported. "By the 3rd day, I noticed I wasn't feeling that familiar cloud of dread that usually settled in by mid-morning." Here's what you need to do starting tomorrow morning. Implement what psychiatrists call the golden hour technique. Keep all digital devices, newspapers, and television turned off for the first 60 minutes after waking. Instead, use this time to set a positive tone for your day. Drink a glass of water, look out the window, or practice gentle stretching. Your news and social media feeds will still be there an hour later, but your brain will be in a much stronger state to process them without triggering depression. Don't underestimate how powerful this simple change can be. Every morning you start with digital stress is another day your brain receives the message that the world is threatening and overwhelming. Make this change now, before this habit compounds further damage to your mental health. Habit 2. Taking medications on an empty stomach. Here's the habit that nearly 99% of seniors get wrong every single morning, and it might be the most damaging to your mental health. Are you taking your morning medications immediately after waking up, before you've eaten anything? This seemingly responsible habit is actually creating a dangerous chemical imbalance in your brain that directly contributes to depression. Researchers at Johns Hopkins University have found that many common medications prescribed to older adults, from blood pressure pills to cholesterol medication, can disrupt neurotransmitter absorption when taken without food. Dr. Samantha Reynolds, a geriatric pharmacologist, warns, when seniors take medications on a completely empty stomach, especially first thing in the morning, they're unknowingly altering the delicate balance of brain chemicals that regulate mood. The medication is absorbed too quickly, often causing mini-crashes in blood sugar and disrupting the gut-brain connection that becomes increasingly fragile after age 65. What most people don't realize is that the connection between your digestive system and brain chemistry grows more sensitive with age. When your stomach is empty, medications can trigger a stress response that interrupts serotonin production, the very neurotransmitter that regulates your mood and protects against depression. Take Judith, a 71-year-old retired nurse from Arizona. Despite her medical background, Judith didn't realize her morning medication routine was affecting her mental health. I'd take my pills right after waking up with just water, thinking I was being diligent, she explained. But within an hour I'd feel shaky, irritable, and eventually deeply sad. Judith's doctor eventually discovered that her blood pressure medication was causing rapid fluctuations in her glucose levels when taken on an empty stomach, creating a roller coaster effect on her mood. When she changed to taking her medication after a small protein-rich breakfast, the improvement was dramatic. Within just 2 weeks, her persistent morning anxiety disappeared and her overall mood stabilized. Here's the simple solution you need to implement immediately. Wait to take your morning medications until after you've eaten something containing protein. Even something small like a few bites of yogurt, a hard-boiled egg, or a spoonful of nut butter can make a tremendous difference. The protein provides a buffer that allows the medication to be absorbed at the proper rate, protecting your neurotransmitter balance. If you've been taking medications on an empty stomach for years, don't panic, but don't delay making this change either. The damage accumulates gradually, but the good news is that your brain can begin to recover once you correct this habit. Could this simple adjustment be the reason why your prescribed medications haven't been fully effective for depression? Many seniors discover that their medications actually work better when taken properly with food. Habit 3. Staying in bed. After waking up, do you often find yourself awake but lingering in bed, maybe scrolling on your phone, worrying about the day ahead, or just not feeling motivated to get up? This common morning habit creates the perfect neurological storm for depression to take hold. Neuroscientists at UCLA have discovered that prolonged morning inactivity after waking triggers a dangerous pattern in the aging brain. Dr. Jennifer Williams, Director of Geriatric Psychiatry at UCLA Medical Center, explains, when seniors remain in bed after waking, they interrupt their body's natural cortisol awakening response, which is designed to energize the body. This interruption directly impacts serotonin production and can trigger rumination, the repetitive negative thought patterns that are hallmarks of clinical depression. No, what makes this habit particularly harmful for older adults is that your circadian rhythm naturally changes with age. After 60, your body produces less melatonin and has more fragile sleep-wake cycles. Staying in bed when you're actually awake confuses these already sensitive systems, essentially telling your brain to remain in a sleep-like state even though you're conscious. This neurological confusion directly impacts mood regulation. Consider the experience of Harold, a 75-year-old retired engineer from Illinois. After his wife passed away, Harold found himself staying in bed longer each morning, sometimes for hours after waking up. "I didn't see the point in getting up right away," he admitted. "But the longer this went on, the worse I felt. Every day this heaviness would settle over me, and by afternoon I could barely function." Harold's doctor recognized these as classic signs of depression triggered by disrupted morning routines. When Harold committed to getting out of bed within 5 minutes of waking, even though it was the last thing he felt like doing, the results surprised him. "Within days, I started feeling more clear-headed. After 2 weeks, that persistent sadness began to lift. It was like my brain needed that signal to start functioning properly again." Here's what neuropsychiatrists recommend. Implement the 5-minute morning momentum technique starting tomorrow. When you first wake up, don't allow yourself to linger in bed. Set a timer if needed, but make it a rule to have your feet on the floor within 5 minutes of waking. Once up, open your curtains immediately to expose yourself to natural light, which helps reset your circadian rhythm and triggers positive neurotransmitter release. This might be the hardest habit to change, because when you're feeling depressed, staying in bed feels comforting. But that perceived comfort is actually feeding the very depression you're experiencing. Break this cycle now. Your brain chemistry literally depends on it. Are you willing to try this 5-minute rule tomorrow morning? That small effort could be the beginning of a tremendous shift in your mental health. Habit 4, skipping breakfast or having a high-sugar breakfast. What did you eat for breakfast this morning, or did you skip it altogether? Your breakfast choice, or lack thereof, might be setting you up for a day of neurochemical imbalances that directly trigger depression symptoms. Endocrinologists at the Mayo Clinic have found that blood sugar fluctuations have a much more profound effect on mood in adults over 60 than in younger people. Dr. Michael Peterson, an endocrinologist specializing in geriatric health, warns, after age 65, your body's ability to regulate glucose changes significantly. When seniors skip breakfast or consume high-sugar options like pastries or sweetened cereals, they create dramatic blood sugar spikes followed by crashes. These crashes directly impact neurotransmitter production and can trigger or worsen depression within hours. The aging brain is particularly vulnerable to these blood sugar fluctuations because your metabolic efficiency naturally declines with age. What might have just caused mild energy fluctuations in your younger years now creates neurochemical disruptions that can trigger serious mood disorders. Your brain needs a steady supply of glucose to function properly, and when that supply roller coasters, your emotional stability suffers. Look at what happened with Elizabeth, a 70-year-old retired teacher from Virginia. Elizabeth either skipped breakfast or grabbed something quick and sweet like a muffin or sugary cereal. By mid-morning, I'd feel this wave of sadness and fatigue wash over me, she explained. I'd been on antidepressants for years, but they never seemed to fully work. When her new doctor asked about her breakfast habits, Elizabeth was surprised by the connection. After switching to a protein-rich breakfast with healthy fats and complex carbohydrates, Elizabeth noticed a significant improvement in her mood stability. Within a month, I worked with my doctor to reduce my antidepressant dosage by half. 6 months later, I didn't need them at all. I had no idea my breakfast was affecting my depression so dramatically. Here's the immediate solution. Implement what neuropsychiatrists call the balanced brain breakfast formula. Every morning, eat a breakfast that contains protein, eggs, Greek yogurt or nuts, healthy fats, avocado or olive oil, and complex carbohydrates, oatmeal or whole grain toast. This combination provides steady, long-lasting energy that helps maintain stable neurotransmitter production throughout the morning. This change is something you can implement tomorrow morning, and many seniors report feeling a difference in their mood stability within days. Could your breakfast choice be the missing piece in your battle against depression? Don't underestimate the power of this simple change. Your brain requires proper fuel to generate the chemicals needed for emotional well-being. Now you understand the 4 morning habits that could be secretly triggering your depression. From immediately checking stressful news, taking medications on an empty stomach, staying in bed after waking, to making poor breakfast choices, these seemingly innocent routines create the perfect storm for depression in the aging brain. But here's the good news. Each of these habits can be changed starting tomorrow morning, potentially transforming your mental health within days or weeks. Depression isn't an inevitable part of aging. Often, it's the result of habits that unknowingly disrupt your brain chemistry. By making these 4 simple adjustments to your morning routine, you're giving your brain the best possible chance to maintain emotional balance and rediscover joy, vitality, and clarity. If you found this information valuable, please hit the like button right now. Which of these 4 habits will you change first? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming video on the 5 foods that actually fight depression naturally in seniors. Share this with someone you care about who might be struggling with unexplained sadness. You might just be giving them the missing piece they've been searching for.